Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. Welcome to another episode of Xa Talk Show. Today is 2019, October 22nd, Tuesday, 11 o'clock a.m., San Francisco time. Good morning, guys. And what are the questions? Naibo says, what is the best Chinese food? Is North American better than Chinese food? North American, no. I don't have actually. I don't know what is the best Chinese food. There are Chinese food. Uh, I'm not very picky about food, so I eat anything, and anything cooked in restaurant, I love it. From any region, China, uh, Middle East, Italian, almost anything, Indian, I'll eat it greedily. So I'm not very picky about food, and I love restaurant food, hamburgers, pizza too. But about Chinese food, most food Chinese restaurant in USA they are Americanized Chinese food, just like Mexican and all that. So because if you have real Chinese traditional food, if you have the real thing, Americans don't like it. Basically, that's why you have to sell. So you have it's Americanized Chinese food. Actually, just like everything else. So almost. So and I love it too. The Americanized Chinese food too. I love I love it. I love them. But however, if there are some restaurant in USA, for example, in California, in here, in San Francisco, in Mountain View, where Google is at, there are a ton of Chinese restaurants, and some of them, maybe 1%, 2%, are real kind of Chinese cuisines. By real, I mean that's what Chinese people eat in China or in Taiwan. There's also Taiwan ones. They, some of them are, and actually, in general, I don't really care for them. I actually prefer the Americanized Chinese food, but I do like them as well. And yeah, so China is pretty big. You have several lots of regions. Am I alive? Check. Okay, I'm good. So China is pretty big. You have lots of regions, and over the past thousands, 2,000 years, they have different kind of taste, different kind of food developed. And I don't really actually know the details because I've never been to China. So some region, for example, Sichuan. Okay, you in English you call it uh, Sichuan. Sichuan. So that's a province that's known for very hot things. Anyway, there's many details. I don't know about them. And all food is good for me. Even dry bread and milk. I have an obsession on eating just plain food without taste. So good morning, guys. What would the example be? North American food be? North American food is North American. Let's see what American eat. Salad. Salad is one of the main thing. Well, hamburgers. Hamburger is the main thing. They well, Americans they eat various different things. I guess mostly European hamburgers, steak, uh, sausages, bread, and bread is also very common. And by the way, so in North America, you don't eat rice, okay? Well, occasionally, like once a month, maybe you eat rice. That's considered exotic or something, you eat rice. But in China, every day is like you eat rice every day, every single day. That's your staple. Um, in America, sometimes you also eat potatoes, fish and chips. The UK, the UK cuisine. Um, so in China, Chinese in Taiwan and China, they eat rice every day. You have to eat it. And many Chinese came from China or Taiwan. They cannot live. It's a habit that like you migrate to USA. So for example, me, I'm you would consider me a first generation migrant. But many of them, older people, they cannot just eat American food. They cannot. They rather go back to China. So they eat rice every day in America as well. You go to Chinese market and get rice, buy rice, and you have to cook. You cook Chinese food. You cook yourself. Most Chinese people, I would say most do that. Because you cannot, most people, they cannot just eat. They cannot change, adapt the diet unless you came here very young. To the degree that you rather, you rather move back to China. And okay, so that's about that. Good morning, Kathy. Pine tea. I never heard of pine tea. So Freddie Freeman says, "Good morning to Germany. I've been wondering about Stephen Wolfram's book, A New Kind of Science. Did you read it, and do you think that it's worth reading?" Yes, I talked about that topics for 1 hour for 90 minutes the other day. So go to YouTube, Xali, uh, or go to Xali talk page. Okay, go to my website xali.info talk show, and you have a page full of article titles and indexes. I've been doing this for half a year now, every day. So lots of topic I already talked about. So search for new kind of science. Okay, so this is 2019, August 28th. Let's have a look. Math languages, scientific programming, a new kind of science. What is random? And cellular automata. August 28th. So there it is. This is you go to YouTube and you can watch that. That's 1 hour talking about that book. But that book is so much. It's over 1,000 pages. We can actually do it again some other day because covering, for example, I can teach you. So in that video, I talked about new kinds of science and many other things related to that. But for example, one day we can do a technical introduction to cellular automata, and that will be fantastic because cellular automata is one of the most fantastic subject, especially for programmers. You guys are interested in cellular automata. You would be, I would say. And also artificial life. It's back then in 1990s, I've studied a ton of this cellular automata thing, and also called back then there's another term called artificial life. Okay, I don't know if they still use that term. So let's look at Wikipedia. Artificial life. By the way, I'm using a new keyboard setup. Let's see if you can see that. A new gig. Randomly, and any topic can go. And sometimes I start to talk about one thing that just non-stop. So artificial life. Okay, so they still call that artificial life. In Wikipedia, you can see this article. Artificial life. Okay, so what is artificial life or a life? Well, it's basically like a cellular automata. It's like It's like Turing machine. Okay, so anyway, so you create. So what's the examples? So do they have a pictures? They don't have pictures. Okay, there it is. There's a animation. This is a bad animation because they kind of use ASCII. So anyway, if you are a programmer, you would be very highly interested in this because it's visual and uh, so let me actually show you another thing. In 1990s, I looked at all programs throughout 1990s. I'm on a Mac, so I've looked at all possible programs out there that does artificial life, and I wrote a review. I used them, for a month. I was, into. It's so fun, and I write reviews about them. For example, let's go to XR Math. XR Math. Okay, there you go. So many math topics, fascinating topics. And you go to math software. Keep the comments coming, okay? You go to math software, great math software, and now they have categories. So cellular automata would be you have fractals, you have dynamical systems, you have cellular automata, and this is fascinating. This one is written in JavaScript. Let me show you that. So let me show you this one. This is written. This is recent, 2016, written by a computer science student. Uh, yeah, and she. Okay, turn on JavaScript. Oh, it's already JavaScript. This is Google Chrome. It takes some time to load because I'm running video. So there it is. You see, that is an example of cellular automata. Okay, she has also written Game of Life, but on a hexagonal grid. And here are some other variations. So it's fascinating. You just see how they evolve. So let me give you a introduction to cellular automata. Then, do you guys know cellular automata? So is it like Game of Life? Yes, it's like Game of Life. Let's see. How should we do a kind of explanation? Yeah, I should. But look at hers. It's beautiful. I need to write that. This is my forte. But I'm getting old. It's a fact that many things I wanted to do, in particular programming projects, I, I procrastinate for years, 1 year, 2 years. Uh, oh, Langton's ant. That's actually one of the thing I wanted to show you, and she happens to have it. But however, she's doing it on a hexagonal grid. So this is not original Langton's ant. So let's see. She points to Wikipedia, right? She points to Wikipedia. So this is fascinating. So let me try to explain the Langton's ant. LELL. What does that mean? Yes, beautiful. Kathy says, well, actually, I'm moving my text workflow into Emacs day by day. Excellent. Regardless of the criticism of and skepticism from my coder peers. So Freddie says, I'll check it out. Yeah, then I have another question. When do you think art is art? Okay, is computer generated art the same worth as art by humans? Oh my God, I have. I'll need 1 hour to talk about that art and in particular the idiocy of what's the term? Let's see, the idiocy of generative art. Have you guys heard of the term generative art? Okay, I'm starting to digress. I need to. I should generative art by programmer idiots. They have this thing about generative art. Let me show you an example what they look like. This. Okay, this the the many of the programmer idiots. They love this generative art. This is no art. Okay, this is not art. This is just random doodling by programming. This is like this the equivalent in real life would be like you splash a bucket of piss onto the wall, and that would be art. This is the same thing, except it's done by computer, by programming. Generative art. Many programmers idiots, they love they do this, and they say, oh my god, this is art, look at my creation. That that is my opinion about that. And on that topic, what is art? We can also, well, let me just finish that topic quickly. So, for example, you have photography, you have calligraphy, you have typography. All those are not art. Okay, they are kind of semi quasi art. Photography, calligraphy, and typography. Those are garbage. And so, okay, what is art? Art is, there is no definition. Okay, you could call any of these art. There's no scientifically precise definition what is art. Okay, anything human do is art. You you take a shit, your shit comes out, hit on the ground, its shape is art. Okay, you could say that, and in fact, I'm pretty sure some artists did exactly that. So there is no actual definition of art. Art is the thing. Art is the thing human animals do. Um, so how do you qualify? How do you define it? Art is, well, first of all, art is something human animals do, such that has no definite purpose. Okay, that would be my definition. Something like that. I need to refine it. Art is something human animals do that without definite purpose, and usually, well, this is something like that. Okay, along the line. So there is no precise definition what is art, what is not art, because once you define it, it kind of ceases to be art. That's the point. So this kind of thing, for example, the generative art. So I don't consider them art because um, so first of all, so my definition of art is like art is just something human animals do without specific purpose. But however, so why is this not art? For example, that's the same thing. When you take a piece, you use your piece to paint some words. That's also art. But so how do you distinguish? So art, it's hard to define. I have to like. I'm going to. I'm doing this often. I'm going to start walking. Go outside and take a walk and talking to myself in a monologue about how do you define art, what is art, come up with a definition, talking to myself. Then I will have the answer. I can give you more precisely what I think is the definition, a good definition of art. But alternatively, you could look up Wikipedia. There's human history, it's big, so many great thinkers have tried at least to give a definition. Anyway, so I don't think these are garbage. Okay, same thing with photography, calligraphy, and typography. Um, those are blown out of proportions. Also, graffiti. Graffiti is one of the idiot. donkey ass thing, loved by many hacker type of people. I mean, okay, among hackers, many of them are in this subculture, underground thing. They love that. I know many of my followers are. So that's when these people, for example, they love anarchy. They love this all this underground thing, Bitcoin and all that. And many of them will love graffiti. They get excited. Oh, graffiti! This is crap. So what I can tell you, okay, I can tell you right off. What do I think is great art? A good art piece of a great good piece of artwork is one that requires skill. Okay, hold on a second. Let's go back to generative art. Let's see if I can go back to that. Okay, uh, I don't want YouTube. Close it. So, for example, that generative. So, a great art, in my opinion, is one that requires years of skill to develop in order to create it. For example, classic sculpture. Okay, painting, sculpture, drawing, even illustration like Japanese comics books or American comics book. Those are called illustrations. The typical in art community, they don't consider those art. They are dismissive towards illustration kind of artwork. Like comics books. But anyway, so what I consider great art is that requires years of mastery, skill to master it, and you can do it. For example, classical sculpture, painting, especially realistic ones, and require work. And also, programming is kind of some people consider it art, like the Donald Knuth and many the hacker types. They love to think, oh, programming is art. For example, Donald Knuth wrote his book, The Art and Science of Computer Programming, right? Is that the title? There's art in it. In fact, I have articles about that. Xa Li, what is art? What is science? This is one of my posts to news groups. It's a flame. Okay, it's one of my old articles that what is art, what is science. I don't think you don't see it because it's not a popular article. It's just me ranting. So anyway, have I digressed enough? All art is propaganda. Okay, so let's go to XA Talk Show. Let's go to my XA code. Let's go to programming. Then on the left panel, you will see anti-hacker year 2K. Most of these articles are written in early 2000s, around 2000s to 2010. So let's search for art. There it is. Is programming art or science? Dear friends, you mentioned the title of Donald Knuth's magnum opus, Art of Programming, in the context of discussion that fringes on whether programming is science or art. I am quite pissed off at work at the moment, so let me take the time to give some guide on this matter to the daily programmers. Okay. At the bottom run of programmers, there is no question about whether programming is science or art, because monkey coders could not care less. These folks and be reading this post, for they hardly will have heard of Lisp. Now this is posted to Complan Lisp, so among the Lisp programmers, year 2002. So then I continue. This leaves us with elite programmers who have a smattering of interest on cogitation and philosophical conundrums. So, is programming a science or art? Okay, so this is my 2002 kind of flame people say it's troll. Okay. Well, no, it's not troll. Okay, this piece of essay is art. Okay. Okay, so it's programming out of science. That's that. And what did we talk about today? Cellular automata. Okay, that's Langton's ant. Okay, let's magnify. Okay, let's get back to. Hold on a second. Generative art. In fact, I have article about that. Uh, what is art? What is not art? And I mentioned photography, calligraphy, typography. Okay, and I have a article about that. So let's talk about that. Let's just talk about in this direction today. All art is propaganda. What is the opinion of Donald Knuth? Did you ever met the guy? Yeah, well, I didn't meet him, but I saw him 3 years, 4 years ago at the History of Computing Museum down here. It's a kind of well-known museum in Mountain View. So if you come here, you might visit, but it's kind of boring. And so I saw him for yeah, I saw him. I didn't go talk to him. He's very old. He's like 80 something. He can barely talk coherently. But back in the 90s, I would be so eager to meet him. He is in Stanford over here, Stanford University, which is 10 minutes drive. Um, Perspective drawing. Okay, so what are we talking about? So we are talking about art. What is art? Generative art. Okay, so let's see if I have. Let's see if we can find the article. Paste. Enter. Okay, I have a article on that, but you cannot find it by search because because it's a random essay. Nobody actually look for it. The things that's popular on the web are the things everyone want to know. Things like how do you do something in Python, how do like a tutorial. But when you write essays about philosophy, nobody search for it, nobody look. So let us go to Golang, find Go. So this Golang script is 180 lines, and basically the functionality of this script is grep, find text in all files of a directory. So let's type generative art and let's search for it. Run it, we'll get the results. Let's see if I can find my article. So back to so we were talking. We need to talk about cellular automata art, and let's see. Donald Knuth. I talked about this in my past videos. I don't Donald Knuth and his work in programming and computer science is not my type. So whenever he has opinions, I don't like his opinions. I don't see eye to eye with him. He write the way he write books, his style I don't like. The things he is interested, I'm not interested. Okay, that's Donald Knuth. So there are quite a few other well-known computer science I liked. I talked about this before. So for example, Stephen Wolfram, the Lisp inventor McCarthy, the quite a few. I rather like. I don't like Donald Knuth. He's not my type. His work. His work. I don't know how he is as a person. But however, his writing style, his jokes, I don't find funny. I don't like, I don't like his stuff. Okay, so we have generative art here, and let's have a look. Let's see, it's done. Okay, so XR find output mod. So it's colored. So there it is, generative art. So indeed, open the file, show in browser. So this is programming blog 2018 March. Let's search for GENERA. Okay. Okay, I don't have much articles about it, just one line. So generative art equals to piece slash plus programming. Here's history of processing. Okay, processing is a language, is a programming language that does generative art. Okay, basically it's a language that focus on drawing, visual drawing, processing, and there are quite a few of that those languages. So processing is somewhat popular. It's there's a community processing, and it's also it has been ported to JavaScript, so you can actually code processing in JavaScript as well. So here's history of processing. The generative art programming language for non-programmers. Non-programmers, yes, it's Java. Anyway, so here's the article by this guy. I don't know who is this guy. Okay, Max Sergui. So it says, okay, the title is like research essay, the history processing. It's crap. Okay, so you can read the article. I don't recommend it. Actually, I don't recommend it. This is generative art. It's garbage. Well, actually, this one is not bad. Actually, this one, this one to me, yeah, it's garbage. But it does have some sort of aesthetic to it. But so in art, this you would classify this as abstract modern art. In those basically, in my opinion, in my opinion, those abstract modern art or garbage. Like bunch of lines and different colors, red, blue squares. That's crap. Why they rise up? um, art community, just like every other community, just like in a corporation, in politicians, in government, you have a power struggle. Who is gonna get more bread? Who is gonna be get more money? Who is gonna get more pay? Who is gonna be more popular? And you're gonna, for example, in politics, you have A, B, C, D, EFG politicians. Each has different viewpoints, and you're gonna support. For example, today you have social justice, you have Trump, you have this, or China, China, you have Russia. Different political parties, different opinions about different things. So typically it's a case you like this guy, but some of his things, other things you don't like, and that guy you don't like, but there's one thing, his opinion you really like. Things like that, very complicated. And so our community, just like politics or corporations. In a corporation, you struggle to get a raise, to become a manager. You fight with your colleagues, things like that. Backstabbing and all that. Same thing in the math community. Mathematicians. I don't like your math. You don't like my math. We fight. I try to get you fired from from being the head of a publication of a university. They do that in sciences too. And you have different personalities, different characters. Some are greedy. Some are a slime. Some are ass kissing. Um, how do you say that? ask kissing to climb the ladder. They are careerists. They do anything to get themselves ahead. Then when they are top, they do things. So then there are some characters who are just like Richard Stallman, inflexible, and doesn't give a shit about any other thing. So anyway, so in science community, you have different personalities in all these different communities. Same thing with art community. There's power struggle. So in my opinion, okay, this is just my opinion. I don't have solid research into it. In my opinion, this modern abstract art. Let me show you some examples of modern abstract art. Usually they say abstract modern art. Okay, let's look at the pictures. Oh yeah, garbage. Full of this garbage crap. Abstract modern art. It hurt my eyes. Okay, some of them are famous. Like there are a few of them like super famous. They sell, for example, some of the old paintings they sell for hundred millions of dollars. Uh, that's actually I have an article on that. um, but so so there are some famous cases. Okay, there are a few people who become extremely famous for, like you would call them, the father of modern abstract art. There is Wikipedia article we can find. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to Wikipedia, and Jesus, this fuckhead, Robert Deluni, Deluni, Robert Deluni, this fuckhead. It is these kind of things. No, wait. Okay, so hold on a second. Let me not say too much random uh, things. Let's try. I still want to be. What are they doing? This is crap. Okay, this is Wikipedia doing propaganda. They started to put in a Chinese painting in the article, abstract art. Okay, they didn't say modern, but they put into the article abstract art. So as to solidify, as to prove that abstract art has long history even in China. This is this this is false. The garbage. Wikipedia. This is an example of Wikipedia doing propaganda. Okay, if you actually know Chinese, and there's no such in Chinese culture. Okay, there's no abstract art. Okay, they put these two. Actually, this looks like a mountain. Looks like a guy. I'm not 100% sure about this, but I can read. Like they put a title, abstraction in early art and many cultures. My ass. Abstract art is a creation of Western society, not in many culture earlier in early art and many hit culture. My ass. Propaganda from Wikipedia. And what is this? They put this into abstract art too. It's idiocy. This is not abstract art at all. Another thing about art is that in the art world, each one is an artist. If you are an artist, there's nothing you can do. Okay, these are abstract art. Abstract art arose from 20th century. It didn't fucking it's fair to say it didn't fucking exist before. Okay, so here you are seeing Wikipedia doing propaganda. They try to come up with some early abstract art. So anyway, so this 20th century, yeah, this is abstract art, and that, yes, indeed, this crap, These are abstract art indeed. This fucking idiots. And oh yeah, this one is the one I had in mind. This you see this guy? This guy very famous. You probably have seen. So what's his name? Uh, Mondrian tilted composition number 10, responding fit above is a canvas painting by the artist Theo van Doesburg. Fucking idiot. Okay, so that's modern abstract art. So what was I saying? I wanted to say, oh yeah, so why did there are some of them. Okay, so Wikipedia shows some of the famous ones. For example, you can see the names here. They sometimes they are called the father of modern abstract art, um, or the pioneer. Like this guy, this Theo van Doesburg. So so in my opinion, now I'm not sure about this, but it is my guess. Okay, yeah, I mean the question is, how did they become popular? How did they, like this guy, some of the founders, they would be considered gods, in the art community. Like they become idols. So how did that happen? The question is, how did this garbage become, like sacred? How did this garbage become sacred in the art world? It becomes like a movement, becomes, meanwhile it's purely garbage. I have theories about that. Okay, again, this is my opinion. So I think this happened is because it's a power struggle. Just like in sciences, in politicians, in corporations, among among your brothers, you fight for power. You fight for who gets more pay, who become rich, things like that. So the reason this art like this became a thing and the people become idols, in my opinion, is because power struggle. Nothing to do with the art. It's just they are able to, with the help of luck. Okay, they are by chance. Historical events nobody can predict. So they happen to become powerful, and they made just they are almost like crackpots. Okay, just like in Scientology. In Scientology, the codes, many codes, you have a leader. They created a thought. They created Scientology. What do you Scientology, Falun Gong, and many codes around the world. They typically create, Larry Wall, for example, in programming community, we have Larry Wall, who created Perl, and who have lots of slogans and jargon, who says laziness is one of the great virtue of programmers, and there are more than one way to do it. Lots of jargon slogans. This fuck. So it's the same way. In my opinion, it's the same way these people became popular. It's from just by political struggle. There is actually nothing that qualify their work as great in any way. That is my opinion about this thing. And just like in history and lots of other things, you have during certain years you have some movement. For example, in history of science, you have phrenology. Phrenology. Have you guys heard about that? Phrenology. Okay. There's a Wikipedia article about that, but let's look at the images. So phrenology is that this is a pseudoscience. Today it's known as pseudoscience, but back then it's a big thing. Like everyone believe it. Like what's their belief? I forgot. What's their belief? Uh, any you guys know? So let's read Wikipedia article. So phrenology is a pseudoscience which involves the measurement of bumps on a skull to predict mental traits. Okay, yeah, that's it basically. So, but so in 1980 to 1820. Okay, so what is this? The discipline, okay, so developed by German physician Franz Joseph Gall in 1796, the discipline was influential in the 19th century, especially from about 1810 until 1840. The principal British center for phrenology was Edinburgh, where the Edinburgh Phrenological Society was established in 1820. Okay, so it's a big thing back then in the early 1800s. You see, so in a so you see, this is a piece of history. This is a piece of history of science. Where you have this scientific thing, phrenology. Everyone believes. You have Edinburgh Phrenological Society. Like the British has. The philosophical society. Basically the greatest scientists gathered together in there. So here is a piece of history of science. And in my opinion, and you can see this is a total garbage, history. In my opinion, this is the same phenomenon, abstract art. The movement, the abstract art school, it's the same thing, same way. Okay, suddenly the political situation is ripe, then suddenly you arose some cult or movement, like today's social justice scan. Okay, so that is my opinion about modern abstract art, and about art, and about the generative art. This generative art garbage. This idiocy. History of processing. Okay, so that is about that. Now, shall we go back to regarding art, I have actually a lot of things to say. I have articles about typography, calligraphy, and we can talk about calligraphy and photography. That's But anyway, it's the basic. My opinion about it. Basically, I just talked about. It's like that. Same. This applies typography and calligraphy and photography. They are not arts. Okay, photography, for example, photography is just so why did photography become art? Maybe not today, but in the 1990s, for example, it used to be considered one of the art. Photography. Photography basically, it's rich people who has money to buy cameras, and they do things, and they want to think of it as art. Okay, photography, and also journalism, the journal, photographic journalism. You have a term, photographic journalism. So they are. How did they arise? What they are? They are just power struggle, just like the phonology and the modern abstract art. In my opinion, it's a mix of power struggle and movement and pseudoscience. Code. It's a mix of those. So then you become a photography as art. And also in the 1990s, Pong. We don't have as much Pong back then, so photography make do. So when you have Pong, you call it photography. Okay, it's one way. It's one of the way that photography, the word photography grew as art. Basically people just want to look at naked girls. Okay, they are not interested in the art of photography. My ass. But many people, they do photography art. That's part of the way to, chalk up photography as a history. And also, um, yeah, photography is not art. Okay, because back then, photography equipment are expensive. You have to be rich to do it. Not like today. Everyone, you have a phone. Everyone has a phone. You can take 1,000 photos a day. 100 of them is gonna be greatest artwork in photography. But photography back then was the it's you have to buy those. Only rich people, playboys, can do that kind of. Or you buy photography equipment and you profess to be a journalist, like oh crap. um so it also, these kind of things, movements also needs to be had to be in the right time, because for example, in, let's say, in early 1900s, you don't really have journalism neither. You cannot travel around the world because you don't have airplanes yet, well, not popular yet. You can't just travel. So you don't even have journalism yet. So things. Then as time progress, as technology is the thing that propels everything. Technology progresses. You have airplanes. Airplane becomes common. World travel becomes common. You can go to Shanghai, you can go to Tokyo, you can go to London, you can go to New York, Big Apple. So that becomes common. Then you start to have journalism. You start to go to places to write about things. You report. Then journalism becomes a thing. Journalism itself is also crap. Okay, the proper term is just called reporter. Brainless reporter, not journalism. Oh, democracy needs journalism. No, motherfucking go fuck yourself. Journalism are just reporters, brainless reporters, and we need them. That's true. But not the way Americans see it. Oh, we need journalism. Okay, so two things. Journalism, they are what journalists do. They, as far as job intellectuality goes, they are the brainless low. Okay, low. Like you mop the toilet at McDonald's, you go wash dishes in a Chinese restaurant, getting paid less than minimum wage. Okay, by cash. That's me. That's the same class with journalism. Okay, you like today you have Harvard. You go to Harvard to study journalism, communication. Crap. These are people, rich people. Why did this happen? Why did Harvard, this ivory tower, Ivy League colleges has this communication, study major communication journalism, because that's the way, that's money. Like I said, like I kind of, my opinion, my train of thought about abstract art, about phrenology. The way these things happen is because power struggle, and it's just like actually it's like cellular automata. It's just like you have certain basic rules and things just happen. You never know what will be the shape over here. You never know. It just happens. This is humanity. So anyway, so Harvard, journalism, yeah. So I don't regard them as great or important. What is important for democracy? Well, you need general education. You need a good education for every citizen. You need honesty. For master majority of people, you have good moral or ethical principles for most people, and that's it. That's what you need for democracy, or rather for a good country. And so okay. So let's read the comments and see where are we. Where am I going? and whether should I talk about cellular automata again. We digressed and we haven't talked about cellular automata. uh, so actually some of these articles I've talked about in the past. uh, I don't know if Bart has seen it before. Bart, have you seen it before? You may or may not, because some of these are in my early videos. This math art is fantastic. We need to talk about it sometime. So okay, let me read the comments and let's see where we're going. Uh, Sichuan food is awesome. Sichuan, really? Sichuan food is hot. Like super hot. I cannot eat very hot food. How long have you been a okay, this guy. We got a troll, Poison Egram. We have another troll the other day who kept telling me to do the some JavaScript thing. I banned him in this group. So how is Emacs coming along? Wasted. Watched some of Xa's older Emacs videos. Naibo. So Naibo. So what do you use? Vim. So okay, thanks. Are you muted? Jesus. I've been talking all this while. I hope I'm not muted. uh, okay, I'm not muted, right? So I'll check out then. I have another question. When do you think art is art? Is computer generated art the same worth as art by humans? Oh, okay. Actually, so this article, these I consider art. Okay, this article I have algorithmic mathematical art. That's what I consider. Uh, well, mathematical art. Well, yes, art. Hold on a second. So let me just post that. Okay, so I guess we are not going to talk about keyboards. Yeah. So mathematics. So these I would consider art. Okay, but these are a specific type of art, math art. Now, if you do math, you know today on the web there are a lot of art. That's called math art, or that's, often you'll see math and art mixed together. All over the place. You search the web, you'll see in conferences, in exhibit. There's actually a dedicated conference for math art, which I despise. Okay, because most of the time they are just like this brainless generative art. For example, this some people will in the early 90s this will become a math art. Okay, this uh, um, or some of these, for example, it will become math art. These crap. Anyway, so some of these I would consider these I would consider art and math art. For example, these, because there is creativity and there is a essence of mathematical structure embedded in the art. Okay, so in this piece of work, in this I'm showing, they are not just they showcase. I mean, they are, first of all, they are visually pleasing. Okay, they are visually pleasing. Then each one of these in my page, okay, not elsewhere. I mean, I will need to explain in detail what I mean by math art. But anyway, just for now, just look at the examples in my page in this article. So each one of these, first of all, they are visually appealing. But the other important thing is that each one of them, they illustrate and embody an essence of certain mathematical principles or theory or equation. For example, this one I call it a Borg cube, but this one is actually a plot of this equation. So you see, this it embodies the solution to this equation. It looks like that. Okay, so it's not, it's not random like generative art. Okay, it actually, if you are studying math, it actually happens in real life. You want to know what this equation, the solution looks like. It looks like that, and from this you can learn many things. You can learn how, for example, if you have a line intersecting it, you can learn it intersects at multiple places. And you can also, from a topology point of view, for example, this is a great puzzle out of the blue. You can, for example, let me ask you a question. How does this surface partition the 3D space? You see, when you have a surface, let's say a plane, okay? Let's say a plane, infinite in length. So it partitions the 3D space, Euclidean space, into two parts, right? Now, however, if you look at this one, this Riemann surface, now, by the way, this should be extended all the ways out, okay? You have to kind of put multiple pieces of them together. It's drawn like this just because software is not good enough. But anyway, you can see this surface, it extends all the way out, and also to the top and bottom too. So you can see this also partitions the 3D space into how many parts. That is a puzzle. So think of this as if you love math, think of this as a puzzle. If given this surface, I mean, it's just fun to think about. How does it partition the space into two parts or infinite many parts? You can think about that question. And same thing with this. How many parts of space it partitions the 3D space to? So anyway, so back to my previous point. I'm saying these are math art, real mathematical art, in my opinion, because the way I define math art is that each one of these embodies a specific math theory or process. Okay. Now Riemann surface is kind of advanced. This one is a minimal surface. Minimal surface means that locally they have minimal area. But anyway, that's another topic. So this is also math art. Why? Because you can see, first of all, it's the octahedron. Okay, octahedron is a solid such that it's a regular solid, meaning that each face is made of the same shape, a octagon, and octagon itself is a regular shape because each edge is of the same length and each angle is the same. So it's one of the Platonic solids. So there's a math theory in it, in this very shape. Then they change. This guy, Michael Trott, he's a mathematical physicist. He worked at Wolfram Research. I met him, back in 1995, and he's into creating these things. So anyway, so in this picture, you can see, first of all, it's visually appealing. Okay, that's art. Then it has certain significance in math and creativity. Math because it's a linked. It's a linked octahedron, and also why is it interesting? Because just like when you look at this other picture we talked about, we can think about how many parts does it partition the space into. Meanwhile, on the other hand, when you look at this picture, you can think about how is it linked, the link structure. You can start to think about how are they linked, and then then you can think about how would you extend it to, can you extend this to the whole 3D space, and how would you link them? How would you do that? So that's math. That's math. That gets you to, if you actually think about this, you would get into, I suppose, you can get into graph theory. You start to have issue. Yeah, many interesting. You can think of many interesting problems just from looking at these. So this is math art. Okay, so that's another example. And okay, here is some real world example of using polyhedrons. And here is also this is kind of ancient example. Polyhedron based lamp. You can truncate it, you can stellate it's these, for example, these are all math arts, but even though they are very common today, you see them everywhere. And these are different examples. They are plots of curves, and it's art because first of all it's visually appealing. Secondly, because they represent the solution of equations, so it's not random. It's There's a very precise every pixel is precisely defined by this equation. Okay, so those are art, and this is also another example of math art. Why? Because first of all, visually appealing, very beautiful. Secondly, they embody the mathematical process of inversion. Now, I did a video talking about, I think, inversion, geometric inversion, and complex analysis. You might check it out. Uh, my math tutorial is not so great. There are so many great math tutorials on the YouTube. Anyway, so this is nested inversion of circles. Okay, it's a exact. Wait, hold on a second. It's an exact mathematical process in order to do that. Actually, I have article, and here's another example of nested inversion, and here's another example of nested inversion. And actually, I have an article explaining that. So if you want to know what is an inversion, you study this page, geometric inversion. Okay, I show you how each points are generated. What does it mean, inversion of a circle? And and theories, proofs, and things like that. So inversion of circle. So this is art. This math art, and this is also art. Why is this art? First of all, it's visually appealing. Okay. Secondly, this embody a process, what you might call fish cam. Okay, fish cam. It's a camera, but behind fish cam, it's a mathematical process of transformation. You call it transformation, or simply a function, or a function that maps the plane to itself. Okay, so you start with a normal, non-warped stars pattern. Then after the transformation, it becomes that fish lens. So actually, I have a formula for that too. You can see over here. I think you read my article, you'll see the exact formula. So the formula here is this one. So the fish lens. So this is mathematical notation. So basically, you have a vector x and y. You divide it by vector by their length. Okay, then plus 5. Right. So that's a function that does these fish lengths. But actually, I'm not sure. I think fish length has a very specific definition. I'm not sure this is it, but it's kind of similar. Okay, similar effect. Then you have this one, L systems, turtle graphics. This is also art because it's visually appealing, and it embodies a mathematical process of recursion. Okay, these are all examples. Now this is called L systems. You can go read Wikipedia. Okay, so I did most of these page in 2000, in 1990s, 1990s in 2000. This one is from, I did it in 2004. And another one, this one is called recursive tiling. This one is called pinwheel tiling. Pinwheel tiling. And you can see it's actually on a building in Australia, Melbourne. Okay, pinwheel tiling. And pinwheel tiling is this specific tiling, but also it is one example of what's called recursive tiling. Okay, because you can, it's like a nested recursive tiling. So that's art because it's visually appealing and it embodies a mathematical process, recursion, very specific. And actually, so I got quite a lot, many different examples that I consider them to be mathematical art. Okay, now, okay, so I titled this page, actually I call them algorithmic mathematical art. Now I want to contrast it with uh, so what is not mathematical art? Okay, let me show you some example which I consider that's not art nor is it math at all. But how long have I been talking? Okay, so maybe a few more minutes, and let me read the comments. So let's look at images. Okay, so this I would consider mathematical art. Yes. This, yes. This, yes. This, yes, but it's not. It's not very good though. I mean, some of them are just simple. This, no. This is not mathematical art. Okay, it's, well, I would say it's art. Okay, but it's nothing. But my point. Let me get to the point. Okay, there are something that's not mathematical art. This one, for example, a lot of people start to do this shit. Okay, a lot of people start to do this. They are trying to mix math with some kind of, the face, or especially the hippies. They like to do that. This is, well, it's pretty actually. This one is pretty, but it's art. Okay, it's art, but it's not mathematical art. Okay, so this is not math art. Okay, I want to show you some of the examples that actually these. Well, I want to show you some examples that shows my point. Many of these images are from my website. This is from my website. So most of these so far I've seen, these are math art. Okay, these are great. And God, I hate children stuff. So this is not math art. Okay, well, it's fun, but it's not math art. And also, this is idiotic. You know, my point is that you start to see many people start to mix in photograph, photos or drawings or some kind of like non mathematical things mix in with fractals. You see that often. You know they they trying to use fractal techniques, but they try to do random things with human face, or those are crap. Okay, why? How come I don't see? Usually, you see a lot of those examples, but now I'm not seeing much here. Like on Twitter, you'll see them often. It's like it's like, yeah, Sierpinski triangle is also it. So images with fractal generally are art in your opinion? No, wait. It needs to be okay. So let me show you some of them. That's not okay. I know a website. So this professor is a friend and who has helped me a lot. Richard Palais. He's got a Wikipedia article, but he's got a homepage. So let me show you Richard Palais. I 3 years ago he gave me the Mac. Okay, so Richard Palais, you can see Wikipedia. He is one of the great differential geometer. Okay, so that is him, and that's his wife. His wife is a Chinese from Taiwan, and she is also a differential geometer. I think there's also a theorem named after her, and also him as well, like a theorem. So Richard Palais, he gave me the Mac, and he's got a homepage. So let's go to his homepage. So if you go to his homepage and you have this software website called 3D Explore Math, I I helped to create this website. So basically, I did this website. So you go to Visual Math Museum, uh, then you go to Math Art. Okay, now this is his website. So it's not it's not totally done by me, so I cannot. I mean, I'm just helping him create it. So he tells me what he like, or what I have some influence on how it's done, but but it's his website. Okay, so anyway, he has created. This is like 15 years ago. This page was created 15 or 20 years 15 years ago, in 2006 also. So he's got a collection of other people art. Okay, many of these I do not consider art at all. Okay, so what's some examples? So this, for example, this, I like when you criticize, sometimes they they hear you, they don't like you. Okay, so it's kind of fishy to criticize. Okay, this I like. This okay, I like inverted trusset tiling. Okay, so this is a trusset tiling. You invert it, like geometric inversion we talked about. That I like. Okay, so this I would consider math art. Okay, let's go back, but some of them are not. Okay, now this guy, actually this guy is a acquaintance, but I really do not like the things he's doing. Okay, so he would call this. So he created this, and you know, he considered them art. Uh, Not to me. Okay, they are not art, nor are they math. So I would put them almost in the category of that abstract, modern abstract art thing. This kind of thing. So, but it's kind of like somewhat. So it's like so the way he is doing it, it's kind of like somewhat you mixing abstract, modern abstract art with some ideas of math, then you get this kind of thing. I don't like them at all. Okay, so not my thing. And Paul Brook. Okay, Paul Brook we talk about, and Los Keys. Okay, so in general, I don't like, so this, I don't like this. I mean, it's like, yeah, this one. Okay, so this one is a stereotypical thing I don't like. You see, they are mixing in part of the computer graphics technology. You see that repo? That's from computer graphics technology. When people can start to be able to do that, you consider it very cool. Computer graphics technology. Then also they try to mix in kind of fractals, from math. That's how you get this kind of thing. Then they also try to mix in some of the modern abstract art concept. So you kind of have these random, whatever they are. So it's like art. To me, this is garbage. Okay, this is the this is a great example of what I would call garbage. And okay, this is okay. So that's a movie. So anyway, so that's about it today. I think I've talked about for 1 hour and 20 minutes. And Ping Jesus. Okay. So any comments? So I think that's it for today. So today's juice is this cranberry and stuff, cranberry and raspberry. Oh, and apple, and they typically mixing apple juice because apple juice is cheap. And I need my energy drink. And I read comments, and that will be it. We shut down in 2 more minutes, I think. Unless you have comments, type it. It's the right time. Freddy, guys, Naibo, type it. Okay. What music do you like? And do you like to do music? Do you like to listen to music while coding? I listen mostly 80% would be classical piano music. Actually, I did a talk about that, I think, for 20 minutes or something. I don't know if I can find it. Let's see if I can. So go to Xa Talk Show, search for music. Yes, I think so. So 2019, June 24th. Classical music, Bach, Liszt, dance frenzy, keyboard layout, input methods, shortcut layout, repetitive string injury. So I talk about music, what I like in that video. Basically, I listen to classical piano music for 80% of time. So the other 20% is pop, pop and English dance music. I like dance music a lot, like brainless dance music, frenzy, like uh, how they call house music and stuff. And yeah, if I code, it must be classical music. I haven't been listening to music while coding much. Well, actually, I haven't been actually coding much as I get older. Actual coding is as opposed to just reading about writing tutorials, but actual coding. I haven't. It's like getting less and less now. 1 hour a day, or in the past 2 months, it's not even 1 hour a day. I feel sad about that. Um, yeah, I need to get back to coding. But the other problem is that I've been sitting in this chair too long. I have to walk. So uh, League of Noobs. Nah, League of Noobs. You just came on. Okay, let me read the comments and that'll be it. So good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Freddie. Freddie is from Germany. Naibo. Naibo, where are you from again? Either from Germany uh, or the UK. UK. Boisang, England. Okay, don't know why you have trolls here. Kathy, how's Emacs? Okay, so check the. Hello, what are you running? Hackintosh? No, I'm not running Hackintosh. So game of life is fascinating. Okay, so we need to talk about game of life and cellular automata. Look at this person's thing. I really like her app truly a lot. I like her app a lot. It's beautiful. This cellular automata and artificial um, life. Okay, so guys, if you haven't seen, if you are a programmer, go read about um, go check out her app and go read about cellular automata or go read about artificial life. Okay, so go to Wikipedia, read artificial life, and also read cellular automata. Read cellular automata first, okay? Then you read artificial life, and also read about game of life. Game of life is one of the cellular automata. Okay, so you do that Wikipedia. Then you can go to my website. I list several of the great cellular automata and artificial programs. Actually, I don't have much here, but actually, if you have to go to old math software, because many of these in the 1990s they died. The software is no longer there. People get old, so it's like 20 years. Many of these programs are 20 or 30 years old. People no longer program. People got married. They have a kid. They got busy. They are no longer programmers. They or some of them died. I'm pretty sure that happens to some of them. Uh, so so for example, here simulations. This is Boyd. This is 3D simulations. Basically, this is very popular in the 1990s, where you want to emulate a flock of birds, their formation, how they change, things like that. So you have a software for it. So actually, this guy in Japan is still 0404. Yeah. I when I look back at my old pages, I start to do some. So I discovered, it's gone. You don't know what happened to him. Many of them I've talked to, like back then in 1990s. We talked email via email. When you that's what you do when you are younger. You are still doing things. Unlike me, I'm not doing things today. I'm just sitting here doing commentary, and historical comments. But you guys are, maybe I don't know how old are you. You guys are full of chances. So if you find things interesting, you can do, you can code, you can learn, you can actually talk to them. You actually you email them and maybe start collaboration or maybe things like that. So here is several very interesting. This is tiled cellular automata. Okay, uh, like I said, most of the links on this particular page are dead because this page is named Old Math Software. So in 2018, I kind of cleaned up. I tried to clean up my list of software, and I moved all the dead links to this page. So you can see. So these are there. They are many interesting things. You have Magic Cube 4D. By the way, this guy who created this is very interesting. He Melinda Green. Okay, Melinda Green was a guy, but she became a trans. Okay, Now this is before the social justice age. Okay, before before the past 10 years, she became a trans back in I think 2000s. But we were friends. Okay, we were talking about we exchanged emails a few times, and she's also, in fact, in Wikipedia, there's her name is mentioned in one of the fractal thing. Anyway, but however, there's a glitch between us because back in 2017, okay, when the social justice scan rose up, with because the Trump election. So the social justice guy is talking about wild things every day, trans every day. So my opinion about that, I'm negative. I'm negative about social justice. So I started to criticize some of the issues, and some of them involve transgender, and she is transgender, and apparently she didn't like it then, so she unfollowed me. Um, yeah, that's all. So I think she it's too bad. Uh, so anyway, so these are the old programs, and I wanted to show that you the actually there's a lot more. What I want to show you is some of the programs that does artificial life. So I think over the past 30 years, I've actually deleted them. Because I did this cleanup in 2018. But however, I've done cleanup, five or 10 years before. So the old programs, I might have just deleted them. So you don't see them here. Anyway, so cellular automata is very interesting. Now, artificial. Let me tell you what artificial life is. Artificial life is almost the same thing as cellular automata, except when you have a cellular automata, remember it's grid. That's why you call it cellular, because you have lots of cells. Then you generate each generation, Game of Life or many other. For example, this girls, this lady's work, it's fascinating, it's beautiful. But you have cells. You involve cells in the plane, lots of cells. You have rules. You have basic rules that tells you what happens in the next generation. That's how you get this evolution, changes. Now, in artificial life, it's exactly the same thing. Each generation you follow rules, except it's not cells. You don't start just with a bunch of chessboard, and you have cells. You have feel it or don't feel it. It's not like that. Rather, it's more creative. It's more free. Okay, so you can. So basically it's just simple programs. A program, you define at the beginning what it is. Okay, a car or whatever, or birds. Okay. Actually, so let me read it. Let's read it, because Wikipedia usually have a good definition. Artificial life is a field of study wherein researchers examine systems related to natural life, its processes, and its evolution through the use of simulations with computer models, robotics, and biochemistry. Okay, that's not a good definition. That's kind of too academic, too abstract, too philosophical. They are trying. That's no good. But anyway, artificial life is just like cellular automata. In each, you write a program. It's a program. Okay, it's a computer program. Typically, you can call it emulation or something. You write a program that in the beginning you define what's a state, then you define what's a rule to go to the next step. Typically visual, like this visual. Then according to the same, you just keep generating the next generation, following some typically very extremely simple rules, and see what happens. So one of the example is langton's ant. Okay, so you begin with the ant. Okay, the ant can face in any direction: north, east, west, south. So you have certain rules that says if the square in front of him is black, then the ant should turn right. If the square in front of him is white, the ant then should turn left. Something like that. Simple rules. So then you just let it go and see how the ant traces a pattern, following this specific rule. So this is one example of artificial life. And actually, this is called Langton's ant. Okay, but it's unsolved. There are many unsolved questions in it. Like you know, anyway, you can read that. Okay, so thank you guys for coming. If you like my stuff, go to my website. Go to the top. You can see my PayPal and Patreon pages. Okay, donate and support me. Like my videos, subscribe. Bye, guys.